Hey, Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm your host, Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanrave.com, SpiderManFanrave.com. One word, basic URL, pretty easy to find. Go on over there. We got some cool Spider-Man articles, news, reviews, everything you want with the Spider-Man website, we got over there, except ice cream. We unfortunately don't serve that yet. But tonight I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
I'm bummed out now that we don't got ice cream. You told me we were having an ice cream episode. Now I don't even know if I want to do this.
I got water. That's the best I can do, man. I'm sorry. I got licensing issues. You know, trademark and copyright on ice cream. It's not cheap to buy. I'm sorry. But how's it going, James? What you been up to this week?
Just a pretty boring week, pretty much for me. I say it a lot, but it's summer right now, and I literally, when you're unemployed and it's summer, besides for putting in job applications, there's really nothing to do. And
I agree.
And pretty much, I had a good date. I went out with a chick. She said my dog's name is cute. So hopefully that
is it Drizzle?
Yeah. And I hope that means that things are going good with me and her. She has a really exotic name. It's Evita.
I've met an Evita before. I can do you one better. Adita. I've met an Adita before.
Oh, all right. It's on the competition. But anyways, yeah, I had a good date. Getting everything psyched up for PMC because I found already some really cheap tickets. So, yay for me. And that's basically about it for me this week.
Yeah, I have to concur with James. I've had a pretty uneventful week myself. Unfortunately, as a literally in the transition from high school to college, there's not much I can do at this point, especially in the summertime. I'm not usually at this point in the end of July. I'm usually at marching band camp, but I'm not in marching band anymore because I'm out of high school. So it's a bit of a weird time for me right now. It's the end of July and I have nothing to do. So it's a bit of an awkward time, but I mean,
hey, does your high school do the thing that my high school does where seniors get off 2 weeks early?
Yes, we do. We did.
That is the weirdest shit ever because you're so used to fucking waking up to school. Graduation's over. You're done. My brother's a freshman. He's getting ready for school. And so you're got it so mindset that you're going to school that you're like, okay, I'm getting ready. And you're like, I graduated. I'm a fucking dumbass.
No, see, here's what we do. We still graduate at the end of the year. Our graduation isn't 2 weeks before the end of the year. What happens is we just get out of class 2 weeks early, and so we just basically don't have to do anything for the last 2 weeks. And it was a very nice experience for me, I will admit.
My last week in high school, the last week of school goes that Wednesday is finals, which literally meant shit. Because kids that are going to graduate already know they're going to graduate. The finals, they mean shit, but you know what I mean, though. The kids that are going to graduate, flunking a final is not going to ruin you, and the kid who's going to fail anyways. So that day is pretty much just like, okay, you take the test, okay, you got a B. Sweet, I passed the class. That means they're not going to tell me last minute I can't walk across the stage. I'm not going to be Peter Parker in that fucking college issue. And you do that, then you don't go to school that Thursday. That Thursday, you're off. That Friday, though, is rehearsals where you come in during lunchtime and you have fucking teachers that don't even know that you're graduating because they're like, hey, I thought you cut class. I'm a senior. Oh, hey, you're wearing your hat. Hats aren't allowed. I'm not a student no more. I'm graduating tomorrow. Oh, but you still got to go to lunch. You go to the lunch cafeteria for lunch. You eat the school lunch one last time. And then you go to the fucking gym where we do the graduation ceremony. You do that shit for 2 hours, and then you leave with the rest of the fucking kids. So you show up at noon, spend 3-4 hours there, and then you go home.
Awesome.
Unless you're on the baseball team who are playing state championship game that day. Then they got to pass, obviously. And then that's Saturday's graduation, and then the next 2 weeks is like, I don't got to go to school no more. I'm done. Sweet.
What did I do for my graduation rehearsal? My graduation rehearsal basically consisted of me, because I'm at the end of the alphabet. So I basically sat for 3 hours and watched everyone else walk across the stage, and then I finally got to walk across the stage, and there we go. That was my graduation rehearsal. And then I did it all again 48 hours later when I graduated, for the real. So
that seems like that was like Kyle York from my class. Oh wait, he didn't graduate. He failed. He flunked out. I forgot. So never mind. There was somebody I knew who Zimmer. His last name is Zimmer, if you can believe it or not. So he had his, and my graduating class was like 900 kids. I'm not kidding you. We were the highest graduating class until like the next year one. They beat us by like 1,000 kids graduating. That's how many kids are in that damn school.
My graduating class was 100 kids, and I'm not kidding you. It was just I live in a very small town. Graduated from a very small school, but I'm thankful for that. Honestly, I could literally know everybody, so I knew who I liked. I knew who I didn't like.
Most high schools, people know who are on the football team, right? Who's the stars. Unless you're going to the NFL in a big college, nobody knew who the fuck you were. You see movies and other graduation things where, it's like the captain quarterback of the football team, like the Flash Thompson, if you will. He'll walk across the stage and everybody's cheering him because, he's the big man of campus. Our school was like the team cheered and the cheerleaders and like half the school, but everybody else is like, who the fuck is this dude and why is he getting why the fuck are these people going nuts about him?
All right, well, as we move away from the high school graduation podcast, let's take a trip down memory lane for both of us. We have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of.
We're not reviewing the high school graduation issue? Okay, I'm completely lost then.
We got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of before we move along with this week's episode. This week's sorry, I just literally lost my train of thought. But this week we got part 2 of the Roger Stern Hobgoblin retrospective, which we're very excited about. We're covering 4 issues, but before that, we got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of because we got some exciting development this week. I really, really am happy about this. We got our first iTunes review this week. Someone went onto our iTunes feed in the store and gave us a review. So I want to give a special shout out to this person. I don't know if it's a male or female. I apologize. So I'm just gonna say a person. Ghost Agent K. I want to give a special shout out to you right now. Fun Spider-Man Podcast is the title of the review. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm reading this off of my cell phone, so I apologize that I'm not looking at the camera. Great Spider-Man Podcast. Hosts are good, and the show is fun to listen to. Great job! ! He or she left that on July 21st, 2015. So thank you very much, Ghost Agent K. We very much appreciate the positive feedback. If you would like to leave an iTunes review for us, go on to iTunes, search Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow, or just search Spider-Man, scroll down to podcasts. Yeah, you'll have to scroll a little bit in the podcast for a while, but it will show up. Search Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow on iTunes, find it in the podcast. Leave us a review. We welcome all constructive feedback. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, go ahead and leave us a review. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, if you're watching live on YouTube right now, or if you're watching back later, who knows? I don't really know how a lot of people see this show, so it depends on your personal preference or your personal schedule or whatever. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes, or leave us a review in the comments section below. Leave us a review on our channel. We welcome all constructive feedback. So James, any thoughts on this positive iTunes review?
First, to go along with your whole leaving comments on YouTube, leave comments on iTunes. It's awesome. But remember, I haven't got none of these yet. Who wants us to review the complete Clone Saga? Somebody comment. That joke's dying. I'm done with it.
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
No, it's badass. It's awesome because before the best review AGR got at least on there was like a 4. So actually to be a 5-star podcast is awesome. It's like a 4-star. It's like okay, I'll give it to myself. Yeah, 4 stars. How the fuck did I get 4 stars? I thought most of them were 3-star host. But to be on a 5-star podcast, that's pretty sweet. And if you're that person who's enjoying it, I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'm giving you a personal hi and a personal shout out, and just tell your friends about us. Get more viewers to us because we want to be the #1 Spider-Man podcast in the world. That's right, we're coming for you guys.
All right.
Going to wrestling promo, doing my wrestling promo, going all Hulk Hogan, only minus the racial slants.
I was gonna ask you about that. What are you thinking about Hulk Hogan right now?
The whole fact that the WWE erased him from history, like they did Chris Benoit. Okay, Chris Benoit is the wrestler who 10 years ago murdered his family in cold blood and then killed himself. So WWE erased him from history. Hulk Hogan says racial slurs, and they do the same thing. Another wrestler, CM Punk, just quit, and they did the same thing. Control your punishments, Vince McMahon.
Okay, then, but I'm not sure if James
honestly is wrong, and he should have never said them. I just find it funny that they're ignoring.
I'm not sure if James is freezing right now or I'm freezing right now, but I'm just gonna say. So yeah, thank you, Ghost Agent K. We definitely appreciate the feedback.
And I think we lost John. John?
No, you didn't lose me. I couldn't tell if I lost you, so I just started talking. I apologize. Are you still there? Fuck. Hello? Hello?
I want to let you interrupt you. Oh,
Hello?
I thought we...
Hello? Hello?
John?
Hello? 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 I can see you, kind of. No, don't fail. Don't fail. No. No. Hello? Why is my fucking internet failing? No. 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 Why does this happen?
Am I back?
Why must the good die young?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
That was weird because I didn't lose internet. It just got all really, really slow to the point that you were talking in slow-mo. And I thought it was your computer fucked up. So if you heard me saying like Bueller and me trying to talk, that's because my computer was fucking up and I thought it was John. So I apologize right now.
Wait a minute. Did all that shit I was saying literally just make it on the air? Oh, crap.
My computer was just running slowly, like super slow. So I had to quickly, close the laptop and then put it back up.
Oh, man, did all that stuff just go on the air? Okay, I'm going to edit all that out of this video.
Wait, what happened?
I don't know. I don't even know what just happened. Okay. I'm sweating now, probably because this lamp is very hot.
And now I'm really embarrassed by whatever John probably said, the whole fact that he's sweating.
I don't know what I said, though. Like, oh my gosh, that's scary.
If you have any live viewers, please tell me. I'm curious.
Okay. Leave comments in the section down. Leave comments down below. Did I say something stupid? Just tell me if I did, because if I did, oh, hell. Okay.
Tell us if he pulled a Thomas. I want to know.
No, I didn't pull a Thomas. I swear in my life I didn't. I swear in my life I didn't.
Well, you know I didn't because I got cut out there in the middle of my Hulk Hogan rant.
Yeah, there's probably a reason for that. I don't know. So it looks to me safe right now. I'm hoping. So I will say this right now. People on iTunes aren't going to be hearing any of this shit. So let's come back to the real show coming down in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to move along here. We appreciate the positive iTunes review. We appreciate that very much. And so now we're going to move on to part 2 of our Roger Stern Hobgoblin retrospective. For those of you who were not here for last week's episode, we covered Amazing Spider-Man 238, 239, 244, and 245. If you were not here for last week's episode, I apologize. I recommend going into the backlogs and watching and or listening to that episode before listening to this one, because we will be covering the latter half of Roger Stern's work with the Hobgoblin, at least in his original Amazing Spider-Man run. But today we got 4 issues lined up for everyone. First off, we have Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 85. Let me give a rundown of the creative team here, and then I want to give a little bit of history behind this particular run of Spectacular Spider-Man, because it's actually coming in the middle of an era for Spectacular Spider-Man. So right now on this particular issue, we got Bill Mantlo, writer, Al Milgrom and Jim Mooney as artists. Oh man, that's small. D. Albers, letterer, B. Sharon, colorist, Tom DeFalco and Danny Fingeroth as editors, and Jim Shooter as the editor-in-chief. And they would like to express their indebtedness to Hobgoblin's creator Roger Stern for his gracious plot assist. So that is the rundown of the creative team here. Basically, what we're dealing with is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. During the 1980s, this was very much the B title. This was very much the secondary book to Amazing Spider-Man. Whatever could not fit into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man was put in here. While Marvel Team Up, which was also quote-unquote Spider-Man's secondary title, is actually more of a tertiary title, come to think of it, even though it came before Spectacular. Marvel Team Up detailed some of Spider-Man's exploits with other characters in the Marvel Universe. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man was written in a similar vein to Amazing Spider-Man, but it was very much what was more low-level in his life, what wasn't as important, you would say.
It was like his Daredevil book. Like, it was like how Daredevil is written. Like, if you imagine a Daredevil comic, just flip-flop Daredevil, it's Peter Parker, and that's what you get pretty much. It's street level. It's a little bit more edgier and grim and dark. It's still 80s Spider-Man, so it's not completely, like Batman or something like that. But it's still like, it's gritty. It's crooked cops. It's gangsters. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's the grit. Or Amazing's, like, I think somebody described it as Amazing's the superhero book, and Spectacular is the realistic book.
And so, with that, we get Spectacular Spider-Man hit more of his exploits. It deals, especially during Roger Stern's run in the early 1980s, it dealt a lot more with Peter's civilian life, such as it dealt with his life as a graduate school teaching assistant. That wasn't shown a lot in the Amazing book, but it was detailed pretty extensively in the Spectacular book. And during this era, this run that's actually written by Bill Mantlo, this issue is not actually written by Roger Stern. It's technically written by Bill Mantlo, but Roger Stern did contribute to the issue a bit. Mantlo's run is famous for his for really kind of establishing Spider-Man's relationship with the Black Cat and Felicia Hardy. Mantlo's this is actually his second run on Spectacular Spider-Man, I believe, and it's famous a lot for 2 particular stories. One involving the Owl and the Octopus gang war, in which Spider-Man rips Dr. Octopus's arms right out of his back,
scared the living shit out of him.
Yeah, and it started pretty much the decade-long storyline of Dr. Octopus being absolutely terrified just by the mere presence of Spider-Man. And it was also famous for issue number 87, which was the revelation of Spider-Man's real identity to Felicia Hardy and the Black Cat. And that was also the issue where she established that she really loved Spider-Man, she didn't love Peter Parker, and she really couldn't stand him.
Even though it's kind of contradictory here, where she kind of she plays it off as, I don't really care. But when we get to the actual issue, it does get kind of played up as, does she?
Yeah, so she basically says, I love Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. And so Peter Parker's obviously thinking to himself, man, this is a real flip around from all the other relationships I've had. Wah, wah, wah. Tragic, Parker stuff.
that I will say when we get to those two panels where it shows Gwen and MJ and Betty and Liz and all them being pushed aside by Spider-Man, and then it's a flip-flop with Peter pushing Black Cat away from Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's a pretty brilliant panel in this issue. But basically, Bill Mantlow's spectacular run dealt a lot with Spider-Man's relationship with the Black Cat. It's very much about them falling in love after they've kind of reconciled after the whole 226, 227 of Amazing scandal. They reconcile. Felicia is injured in the Owl and Octopus gang war. She gets better, and they kind of become a crime-fighting duo, and that will lead into Al Milgram's run that immediately succeeds Mantlow's run. But this issue is spectacular.
She's like his sidekick, which is, if you think about it, in Spectacular.
Yeah, it's very much an interesting dynamic. It's one that we don't see very often in Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is at least primarily established as the loner. And so when we see him teaming up with the Black Cat and actually having a superhero or a quote-unquote superhero girlfriend, it brings a new dynamic to the title that really readers hadn't seen up to this point.
And now you read Amazing the last 5 or 6 years, it's like they're trying to create the new Black Cat. It's because you have Silk, you have Spider-Gwen, you have, Miss Marvel they teased about, you had what's her name? That fucking MJ, Jackpot. You had her. That was the most infamous of them, trying to create their new Black Cat. They're trying to create their new Mary Jane and Black Cat all as one character.
Yeah, so there have been many unsuccessful, at least in our opinion, attempts to recreate the Black Cat's dynamic with Spider-Man. Even through the Black Cat's character herself in recent Brand New Day, Big Time Superior Volume 3 issues.
I have said this. I honestly think that the reason why Black Cat had her heel turn, using a wrestling term again, but heel turn means a good guy becoming the villain. The reason why Black Cat had her heel turn, and it's been such a drastic, unredeeming heel turn, is because Slott wants Silk to be that girl now. And I don't think they don't even want that no more. I think they realized that ship sailed, because now she's the sinister Silk or whatever she's going to be.
It's a conspiracy theory that, we can only speculate on such matters as that.
Conspiracy theory, but it's just the way I feel like when I read it, especially when I read that first art when it came out, it really read to me as like, are they just doing this like, with this other chick looks cool?
We can only speculate on matters such as that, but this particular issue, Spectacular number 85, is a bit unique in its own sense, because, as we've said, it's not written in the same sense as the rest of Mantlow's run. It's very much inspired by the Amazing book. It's very much inspired by what Roger Stern is doing with the Hobgoblin. And it's actually it's a bit odd that the story they tell in this particular issue is told in Spectacular Spider-Man. It's a bit odd because this is actually kind of a big moment in the journey of the Hobgoblin, because this particular issue is where the Hobgoblin takes the Goblin formula, and becomes as strong, if not stronger, than the original Green Goblin. And so it's a
bit of a happen nowadays. This would not happen nowadays.
It's a bit weird. The placement of the issue in a quote unquote secondary title, as we've coined it to be in the past few minutes, the placement is a bit odd, and I've never actually heard to be honest, I've never looked for one, but I've never heard an explanation as to particularly why this issue was placed here, when it probably could have been fit into Amazing Spider-Man somewhere. Maybe if they'd gotten rid of Amazing 246, bumped the Wrecking Ball or the Wrecking Crew story up an issue, and then had 248 be this. I don't know.
If I had to guess, the satellite titles never sold as well as Amazing, and Marvel has said they constantly wanted more Spider-Man because how popular the character was, but the satellite titles never really sold as much as they should have, in their mind at least. I think that it might have been like, a marketing ploy. We'll put the Hobgoblin, who's our next big villain, and the next big part of his story, it's not just filler where he flies and does something and it's just filler. It doesn't continue the story at all. It's just Hobgoblin shows up and fights Spider-Man and leaves, and there's nothing that continues the story. We'll actually have a big plot point that happens in it, and maybe that will hook readers that are just reading Amazing and maybe that will hook them onto Peter Parker.
It's an understandable theory that I can get behind, at least in a marketing sense, because it is probably, it's not untrue to use a double negative there. It's probably true that secondary titles don't really sell as well as the main title. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who would dispute that fact.
That's why they went 3 times a month with ASM. That was like, they did it because satellite titles don't sell, but Spider-Man once a week would sell, still sells. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, I mean, you put Amazing Spider-Man on the cover, it's going to sell. So, or at least, hopefully, it will probably sell better than your average Spider-Man title. And so that could be why they wanted to do that. They wanted to bump up the sales of Spectacular a bit. But enough on the history part of it. I want to let James delve into his recap of Spectacular number 85, because normally I give the plot synopsis and the analysis and everything first off, but James especially requested to go over this issue, so I'm curious to hear what he has to bring to the table here.
Well, I read the issues a few days ago when I finally got Marvel Limited, and I do this for every episode. You know, I'll read the episode. I'll read the thing, write down notes, and then before we go live, like an hour, 2 hours before, I'll reread the issues that we're reviewing. That way that they stay fresh again. I don't forget things. And if there's stuff I missed or my opinions changed, you know, I can move on. So when I reread this issue, okay, I was like the middle of the night, I was falling asleep when I was first reading this. So when I was reading this time, there's so much comedic gold, and I'm like, I don't want to interrupt John. So I'm going to ask John if I could just do my thing first and give the recap, and I can add my little pieces, and then John can interrupt me. So it'll be a change of pace. So yeah, let's dig right into it. And Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man. And here we are as he fights the hatred of the Hobgoblin. And we see mysterious
Jason Philip McIndale?
I'm done.
Sorry, I had to do it.
We see the mystery man. Who is the mystery man? What's his mystery? As he's making a smoke machine. No, it's not a smoke machine. It's really, you know, the goblin serum, and he's going to make it into, you know, a vapor so that way he can inhale it and get his powers. He says, he basically recaps what happened with Stern's Amazing issues, where it's like, oh, I tricked Leslie Donovan, a two-bit criminal, to try an experimental version to fight Spider-Man, and now that I took care of him, which technically, if he has the goblin serum, why isn't Lefty Goblin back alive like every other goblin who ever took the serum? But I'll digress.
Because comics.
Yeah, I know. He might still be there. I mean, who knows? There could be a Hobgoblin issue where it's like, it was me, Lefty Goblin all along, or something like that one day. Somebody should write that. That'd be a good plot twist, I gotta admit.
There we go.
So yeah, he basically says because of what he learned from Donovan, he can now, and hopefully Spider-Man thinks the Hobgoblin's dead, but we'll find later on Peter doesn't know. Peter knows he's not dead. There's no way Lefty Donovan was the Hobgoblin to him. So he basically is reading over the notes. He's all like, Norman wrote down that this serum, if overexposure to it, can cause me to go insane. So anybody who takes it, don't pretty much spend too long in it with it, or you'll go insane. And pretty much the Hobgoblin goes into the machine, and the warning and danger signs go off, but he can't get out in time, so he comes out later. He's convinced that he's not insane, but I like that kind of that. Is he? You know, that happens now with later issues. It's like, was he? Did it cause him to go insane? I think he's insane. And then he decides to go, oh, of course, I'll test these powers out by doing the one thing the Green Goblin could never do, kill Spider-Man, because he's not going to go after Iron Man or the Hulk because this is a Spider-Man, a fancy restaurant in the middle of Central Park, and he's all like, wow, pretty much he's like, Peter's like me. When I say I can't relate to Peter, this is me. Like, if it's a wedding where I hardly know the people, or it's like, oh, your aunt's having a little get-together, you don't have to come if you don't want to. I'm like, hey, the food's free, I'm coming. And it's sad, but when you're poor like I am right now, it's like, hey, free food's a free food. I'm going. He gets there, and then he starts talking like it's the fucking 1950s, but, oh, it's great to see the old gang again. And then he takes off his jacket, and he reveals that he's really Bob Backlund. Wrestling fans will get that reference. He has suspenders and a bow tie. Betty and Harry. Liz and Harry are all excited. They got some big news to tell everybody. They're so excited for it. And Betty Brand's being a bitch and saying, tell me now, tell me now, tell me now. So finally, Liz caves in and says, Harry's going to be a mommy. We're having a baby. I'm not kidding you.
I'm not kidding you.
And she said, okay, to be fair, she says, me and Harry are going to be a mommy.
So but you're both one female.
It's not, we're going to be, it's going to be, and it's not even Harry and I. She says, me and Harry are going to be a mommy.
Okay, let's break down that sentence. Me and Harry, incorrect grammar, are going to be a mommy. Whatever term you use to describe your predicate noun is not linking up with your linking verb.
You're not both mothers unless you're lesbians adopting a kid.
You're not both a singular mother. Let's just enjoy that sentence, because every single word of it is wrong in some way.
This woman runs a company now.
Yes, this is the woman who runs Alchemex in the current comics. Awesome.
One of the companies that's responsible for the dystopian future of 2099, and she called her husband a mommy.
Oh, gosh.
And then we hear a voice saying, oh, yippee, I love babies. Unless there are other people, you know. Because as we all know, Mary Jane doesn't want kids. Remember that, people. Mary Jane never wanted kids.
Sorry, Annie.
I'll admit that comment. I move on as she hugs Liz and they act all buddy-buddy. And it's like, okay, Liz, Betty, and MJ are all hugging each other being buddy-buddies, which is a part of this whole comic book retcon of, you know, Peter's friendship and their supporting cast. Liz and Betty were wanting to catfight and kill each other over Peter, and then they saw MJ in that one issue, issue 25, as, oh my God, who's this other woman? Who's this other bitch who wants to steal our man? And here they're all
competition. Bygones be bygones, James. It's water under the bridge.
But they don't even bring that. But it's kind of funny because, again, like when Liz returns, they were even like that. It's like, oh, her and MJ always hated each other. They met one time, Peter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Liz and MJ, I don't think they always hated each other because
they didn't know each other.
They didn't really know each other.
Betty, though, there's no excuse. Because that would be like two girls that, let's say, okay, John, I'm not saying this ever happened to you, but I'm saying, let's say two girls, like your ex and some other girl, fought over you. Okay?
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but let's say that happened, okay? Let's just say for birthday. And then 10 years later, they're hugging each other, excited for the other one being pregnant because they're BFFs.
Okay, hypothetically, if that happened, I probably wouldn't be there to see it because for various reasons, I probably wouldn't be in either of their lives.
Like Peter. He's not dating either of them.
Not yet, at least, but, I mean, you know, he hasn't started his committed relationship with MJ yet, but carry on.
He sees something's bothering Flash. But Peter thinks it's the whole fact that a third reboot will mean that Flash Thompson will again be a useless character. Harry's all excited, and then Peter's like, wow, Liz Allen, stepbrother of the, her stepbrother's the Multiman. And Harry's father's the Green Goblin. But both of them, they're in love and they're happy. I'm so happy for them. But what if the Hobgoblin ruins this? He has been stealing a lot of things from Harry's father's factory, after all. And it's like, geez, Peter, thank you for being the downer at the party.
I was just going to say, like, Peter, can you let it go for 5 minutes? Peter, can you just, like, you are the most overdramatic person I've ever met in my life. And I spend 24 hours a day with me. Oh, my gosh, Peter.
One of your high school sweethearts and your best friend just told you that they're having a baby. You should be happy for them. Instead, you're like, wow, her brother's the Multiman. His father's Green Goblin. I hope that doesn't fuck everything up. Which, as we all know, it never did.
Or did it?
That's why I'm doing the joke where I get all silent, John.
John Mark DeMattis, we're pointing to you. Thank you very much. Love that guy. Literally. Love his work.
And then as the party leaves, Peter says some of the most awkward goddamn dialogue I have ever heard in the comic, and that's coming after the whole mommy line. Hey, Flash, remember when you were the popular quarterback and I was the bookworm nerd and you used to shove me in lockers? Did you ever think that years later we'd be best friends?
Why are you bringing that up?
His icebreaker, the Flash having a bad day, is, say, remember when you used to be my bully and you used to torment me? Hey, now we're best friends. Isn't that funny? I bet you'd be time travel and you would have told yourself then you would have shoved yourself in a locker.
Hey, Flash, remember when you were a tool?
It just doesn't even make sense why he would even bring that up. It's like his thing to cheer up Flash is that.
Oh, gosh, I almost expect the Johnny and Anna Maria to come out and him to start acting like an idiot to them again.
It's just really bad because, okay, once again, bringing up real life, there was this guy in high school and middle school that I hated. He hated me. I hated him. We didn't get along. But then around the senior year, tomorrow I think about it, senior year, work at the same place my mom did. So that, you start to realize me and him, we're not so we're not friends, and I haven't really talked to the guy since then. But you know what I mean? You start realize, hey, kind of like we're more like acquaintances, so it's not really the same. But that'd be like me if I bump into him down the street and I go, hey, remember when I used to want to punch you in the face and you wanted to kill me? Now we're acquainted each other. Isn't that funny?
I'll share this story right now. When I was 2 years ago, when I was a junior in high school, I was junior field commander of the marching band. The senior field commander and we didn't get along at all prior to that. We sort of started to get along because we were forced to work together. So if that's a similar story at all, there it is right there. But continue, James.
No, but my point is, it's like if I bumped into that guy down the street, hey, remember when we used to want to like literally punch each other in the face and if the other one was dead, we would have probably danced on the other one's grave? That's how much me and this guy did not like each other. And now we're kind of like, like I said, I haven't talked to this person in like 6 years. But I mean, if I bumped into them now, we probably wouldn't be, ready to punch each other, like run at each other, like Family Guy, Peter Griffin, the chicken. We would probably, not even care. Say, hey, remember we used to hate each other? Peter does that here. And the most awkward. This is his icebreaker to try to cheer up his friend. He couldn't say, hey, Flash, did you catch the football game last night? Wasn't it a great game? It reminds me of when I saw you play in high school and you scored like 5 touchdowns. Hey, Pete, that cheered me up that you remember when I scored 5 touchdowns for Midtown High. It said, no, do you remember when you were a big man on campus and you used to be a big deal, but now you're a piece of shit? Basically what he's saying. Because he even says, big man on campus. Well, actually, he says BMYK, and then the like abbreviation means big man on campus. But that's basically what he's saying. Hey, remember when you were a big shit? Well, now you're on the same level with me, asshole.
Oh my gosh.
And then he leaves, and then Sean, because she's Asian and everything, had to leave Peter a riddle. It's not what you said; it's what he didn't.
Yay!
So she knows the problem. Instead of telling Peter what the fuck's going on, she just says, "Hey, it's not what you said; it's what he didn't say." Thank you, Yoda. Thank you for the enlightenment.
Oh gosh, we're not gonna get comments about that.
Then here comes one of the greatest scenes with Mary Jane and Peter of all time. They're walking, they're talking about relationships because of Harry and Liz and what's going on with Sean and Harry. I mean Sean and Flash and Ned and Betty were there too, so they're all talking about relationships and kids and settling down and getting married. And she goes, "Oh, Peter, that's what I like about you is that you care about your friends. You like their knight in shining armor." Oh, if she only knew! Oh wait, she does know. And she's all like that. And then Peter's like, "You love that I'm like that, but you won't marry me." And then she goes, "Oh, I'm not the marrying type. Blah 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 blah. But who knows? We might." And then she says, and Peter goes, "So there's not a chance of us ever getting together?" And she goes, "Well, maybe there is one day again. Maybe lover. Goodbye. I got a modeling shoot to get to." And Peter's like, "What does she mean by that? Calling me lover and then saying that maybe one day we could get back together, but who knows? Does she still love me? Does she still have feelings for me? And oh my God, this shit's still fucking going on. It's 2015.
And now she's dating the Spanish version of you.
Oh my God. Remember back when, you guys actually did get married and you didn't have no more of this will she, won't they, Ross and Rachel bullshit? We're back to that, ladies and gentlemen. Yay!
Spider-Man has turned into Friends. Awesome. Where's Jennifer Aniston?
Friends. Because Friends only lasted 10 years. This is 1984, 2015. It's
31 years,
like
ladies and gentlemen.
30 times of Friends.
Oh my gosh, and Jennifer Aniston's not even here.
And then Peter's all like, when talking about marriage with Mary Jane, and she leaves. Well, maybe one day, love her, and then she leaves. Yeah, her and Peter getting married one day.
Take a shot every time they say lover in this issue. Take a shot.
See, I got my beer, so I'm actually going.
I got water.
And then thinking about wanting to get together with your ex reminds him, oh hey, I'm dating Black Cat.
Oh wait, I don't need to get back together with my ex because I'm already getting some. Awesome. Did James just freeze again? Crap. I guess I'll just be filling in time here while James unfreezes himself. So basically, he starts thinking about the Black Cat. He goes over to the Black Cat's apartment. I unfortunately do not have as much of a humorous recap as James does. It's 11:04 my time, and this podcast is not going anywhere fast. But we will wait for James to unfreeze at this point. Luckily, the iTunes listeners are not going to be hearing any of this. I'm going to edit all this crap out. For those of you who want, I'll leave a little behind the scenes editing for this part. If you want to go listen to the podcast on iTunes, just look up Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. Like we said, leave us an iTunes review. Whether you like the show or not, positive or negative, constructive feedback is always welcome to us here. I apologize. I have this horrible habit. I do apologize. I tend to look at myself in the viewfinder and not actually at the camera. I do apologize for that. It's a terrible habit that I have that I'm trying to rid myself of every episode. I'm not sure if I'm actually getting better at it or not. Maybe I'm getting worse. Maybe I'm not. To be honest, there's no way to know. Well, actually, I went back and watched the freaking videos. But yes, so give us constructive feedback. All right, well, this is going great already.
Cut off.
You got cut off talking about the Black Cat or something.
Oh, my rant about Peter basically being not a cheater, but he's thinking about getting back together with MJ. But then he's like, oh yeah, I'm dating Felicia. Or should I say Spider-Man's dating Felicia. And did you hear my rant about the internet?
No.
About, how you got those IMVUs and those Second Lives? Well,
no.
Well, you know what an IMVU is, though, right? It's like that virtual reality, like Sims kind of like thing. Well, there's people. I tried that when I was in high school. Like a lot of people I knew. You try that out, and you won't believe how many fucking people are on there like, oh yeah, in real life I'm dating or I'm married, but on here I'm single, so I'm able to flirt with you or want to cyber you or whatever bullshit. Or whatever people did. I just signed it up to meet new friends, and it's like, whoa, this is really creepy. I'm getting out of here. Yeah, and this computer I almost got a computer virus. Yeah, I'm fucking done with this shit. But anyway, there'll be people who are like that, or will go, oh, in real life I'm dating this person, but that's my real life. But my virtual person's single, so I'm able to flirt with other people online and want to do stuff with them. But I always felt like that's still cheating, and that's kind of like what I feel about here with Peter. And I'm not calling him a cheater because it's not like he went and go bang Mary Jane. I'm not the 700 Club where I think if I say just thinking about it means you're doing it. Literally, the guy from the 700 Club says if you just think about infidelity or killing somebody, you killed them. Because in God's eyes, because you thought about it, you did it. Or whatever bullshit. But anyway, so we're not the 700 Club, so we're moving on. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like he's thinking about getting back with MJ, But then he rationalized being with Felicia as, well, Spider-Man's dating her, not Peter Parker. And then you got the floating heads of guilt, you know, that he always has because it's fucking Peter Parker, and this shit's still going on. You got Mary Jane, you got Deb Whitman, you got Gwen, you got Betty, and you got some blonde that I suppose is Liz, but he had other blonde girlfriends in earlier issues of Spectacular, so for all I know, it could be them. And he's still swinging, he's thinking about, you know, being with all these girls and how Spider-Man pushes them away, and then he makes some weird comparison about him being his own competition. But he's not. Because his whole point is Spider-Man pushes them away. Not they want to bang Spider-Man, that Spider-Man pushes them away. That's not the same as being your own competition, Peter.
It's oh my gosh. Basically,
he would have been better off saying, I'm my own worst enemy, not my own competition.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we go to our next panel with Felicia Hardy's mother making her dinner. And then we realize that Dan Slott traveled through time back to 1985 to not only make sure his parents got together so he could be conceived, but also to make sure that there's a panel in here, a black cat in a bathtub with bubble baths, seductively crossing her legs and talking to her mom. While Spider-Man's a pervert peeping Tom staring in on her.
Oh gosh, Spider-Man's Michael J. Fox. No, I'm sorry. Spider-Man is whoever was the guy who played Michael J. Fox's dad in that movie. Oh man, he's a peeping Tom.
Crispin Glove. But no, wait.
Crispin Glove.
It's just like anybody who gives them. I'll defend the current black hat. Anybody who gives them fucking bullshit for showing her in a bathtub naked. What do you call this? Her in a bathtub naked.
And plus, she's actually showing more here because her legs are crossed.
Yeah, it's more the seductive, you know. Oh, her legs are crossed, and Spider-Man, and it's kind of almost like kinky, like, shh, my mom's here. Shh.
Okay, this is getting disturbing.
Well, don't blame me. Blame Dan Slott, who traveled for time to draw this page.
I didn't know Dan Slott could draw.
I write this page. Whatever, I said the wrong word. And then Felicia's mom, who is not a rich billionaire, who is the reason why Doc Ock went insane, was making her daughter dinner. And she's all like, oh, because you were in the hospital, dear, and, you know, I want to make sure you're okay because I'm like Aunt May to you because I got to make sure the Peter comparisons. And then she tells her mom to leave, go watch a movie, and she goes, oh, the church is having a poker game tonight or some bullshit. I can't remember what it is. But it's like, oh, the church is having a poker game or bridge game or bingo or something, and she tells her mom to go and have fun because she is okay. And in the panel before this, because I had to make this show, she's not wearing nothing but a fucking robe. She takes off the robe and she's in full suit, gloves and all.
Did she morph under that robe? Is she like a Black Cat Power Ranger?
I don't know. I was gonna make that joke too. Peter then swings through the window, and then she calls him her lover in hopes that he didn't get a disease by the pigeons. She starts making out with him, and Peter, once again, with that goddamn Parker goddamn guilt. Oh, I love her. I care about her, but she doesn't love me. She loves Spider-Man. She's a cat burglar. I should have brought her in. And because of me, because I didn't, she got hurt by Doc Ock. She got nearly killed. Oh, my God, I just started talking like Frank Miller.
Oh, gosh. This is exhausting.
I'm the goddamn Spider-Man. And then she's all like, oh, lover, you almost took off your mask, lover, and you almost showed me who you are. And he's all like, oh, that's because you're going to die. Because I figure it's because of what happened to Gwen. He's like, oh, you're going to die, and I didn't want there to be any secrets between us. And then she goes, how about now? And then she starts to take off the mask. And he's like, Felicia, no. And then it's got the cool, like, because there's a panel earlier where Peter is like trying to get the Gwen and MJ and Betty and all of them, and it's Spider-Man pushing him away from the girls. And then here's a flip-flop of Peter trying to get the Black Cat. I mean, Spider-Man trying to get the Black Cat, and Peter Parker is pushing her away. That's actually kind of cool, like, you know, art, I gotta admit.
Yeah.
And then Felicia's all bummed about the whole fact that Peter won't tell her secret. And he's all like, well, I do love you. Well, obviously not, Peter, if you fucking are saying I'm just dating you because I'm Spider-Man, but I want to get back with my ex MJ when I'm Peter. But anyways, she's all like, you know, how about, and I love you, my beautiful masked stranger, care for dinner? And she's all bummed out by it, but then she plays it off with, oh, I don't really care. That was just a joke to tease you. Bull fucking shit.
Oh my gosh.
Like, when I read this, I'm like, it's the later issues are retcon that don't make no sense. And then you get to this panel, and she's like, oh, I'm just kidding you. Bitch.
Oh, okay, James. Oh, man.
Peter's going all like, oh my god, I'm losing her. She's all mad at me. Oh, it was just a joke. And then Black Cat then starts saying stuff like, I love it how you're a swinger in the night with your bulging muscles. And Peter goes, oh, you make my life sound romantic. And she goes, that's because you are romantic. And then she basically says Spider-Man turns her on and she wants to go share her nights with him. I guess they go back to the bathtub.
Remember, this is a kid's comic book. Remember what this is meant to be.
Black Cat got over-sexualized later. This was okay. She outright says, you make me wet, let's go shag, pretty much.
Man, 650's looking tame right now.
Exactly. And then, you know, he's all like, oh, you would have been dead, I have to go now. And she's all like, oh, I'm coming with you. She puts on her mask. And Peter's like, oh, you shouldn't come, but okay, because you got superpowers. So then they go web swinging, and he's all like, I never knew how awesome Black Cat is. And she's like, I never knew that I loved Spider-Man, but I love Spider-Man. Yeah, it's, you know, it's comics. And then she's all like, we're great, lover. Again, take another shot. This is like the 5th one.
Oh, man, we're going to be drunk, except I'm drinking water. James is probably drunk before he came onto the show.
No, I wasn't. I literally just opened this beer just like I made to take a shot jokes. And she's all like, we're great, lover. And he's like, yeah, we are good. And he goes, me with my spider powers, and then you with your bad luck powers. And then she's like, oh, no, I don't have no superpowers. That was all just me tricking people by booby traps. Then how did you get hurt in the Octopus Owl, you know, gang war? Oh, because they chose the battlefield, so I wasn't able to put booby traps.
That was the most bullshit explanation I've ever read.
It was them explaining why she doesn't have fucking superpowers, only to change her mind and give her superpowers, only to change her mind and take away her superpowers, only to fucking again change her mind and give her back her superpowers.
Back to superpowers. And whenever she goes bad in the current days, whenever she goes bad, her bad luck powers ramp up. Just remember that. And oh my gosh, this issue is gold.
Basically, her doing it killed Peter's boner. Because he just stopped in his tracks with her, and he's like, okay, you're going home now. I'm not going to let you get killed out here. Leave. Go. He's like, shoot, Captain.
We haven't even hit the Hobgoblin stuff yet. We haven't even hit that yet.
I remember reading this. I'm like, oh, God, this is getting close to the end of the issue. This is like page 18, page 19. God, where's the Hobgoblin? And then sure enough, Spider sends a tingling. There's danger. And then the Hobgoblins are throwing Pumpkin off. And he's all like, Felicia, no, run. He's more powerful than Doc Ock. And she's all like, then I'll prove myself, lover, by attacking him for you, lover. And oh my God, shut up. And then Hobgoblin gets into it by saying, lovers, huh? Well, then you shall die by your lover's side. Peter's like, oh me gosh. Because poor literacy is cool. Still in that joke from Linkara. Look out for his razor bats. I know, they're stinging me, but still, I jump at him. Oh my God, are you fucking Frank Miller writing this comic now? We had Dan Slott, we had fucking Frank Miller now.
I thought this was, and this is all Bill Mantlo.
With plot help from Roger Stern.
Which is why we're covering this issue.
And then, oh man, this is Hobgoblin, and we're not even to the other 3 issues, and look at how much we're wasting on this one-off.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for this. This is gold.
Comic gold. It's like, and it's not even bad. It's not me hating this. I love this. It's just that old school 60s, 70s Marvel cheese.
We're making fun of this because it's awesome.
It's like that B-50s like Godzilla movie. It's bad, but it's good.
Exactly.
And he hits Black Cat, and her boobs nearly pop out. Again, this is the 80s, people.
Oh man, Humberto Ramos ain't got nothing on this.
It's the panel. I don't have it with me, but you probably do. Where she fucking, he grabs her after he electrocutes her with the sparks, and he calls her. I would have hoped Spider-Man would have chosen a more resourceful lover. Stop with the fucking lover shit.
Oh my gosh!
And then the panel, he's grabbing Black Cat, and she's all like kneeled down with her butt in her hair, and her boobs are hanging out. Again, people, this only started now. Black Cat wasn't over-sexualized until later.
There's a common complaint that I hear that boy bands use the word girl too much.
And baby.
I think this comic has used the word lover more times than every other boy band in history combined has ever used the words girl or baby.
Have you ever seen the Saturday Night Live skit with Christopher Walken where there's this really hippie-ish couple that are sharing a hot tub with them in the hotel, which is played by Will Ferrell, and I forgot who the other chick is. I want to say it was Tammy Faye or something like that, but I can't remember who it is. And they're over the top, like, about to do each other in the pool, and they're trying to get, like, a menage a trois, like, swinger thing, and they're calling everybody their lovers and stuff like that, and they come on, he's my lover, she's my lover, let's all be lovers. And it's like, basically, it's that panel. This whole fucking comic is that SNL sketch.
Oh, great.
And then he's all like, rest now, my lover. Oh my God, Peter, stop it. And he's all like, Hobgoblin's mine. Okay, that's kind of creepy. And then, he shoots like fireballs at Peter, and Peter catches the fireball in his web, and he throws it back at him, and the fumes and the smoke is hurting the Hobgoblin. Then Hobgoblin breaks the fucking side of a building and chucks the rock at Peter Parker because he's just like Norman Osborn. He wants to kill Spider-Man by hitting him over the head with a rock. Peter then says, holy, again misspelled with multiple E's. Because, again, he has to protect his lover, so the lover of Black Cat gets hit by a rock, because everybody knows no rock is a fucking lover. He's all like, this ain't romantic, Black Cat. I did this for you. So it is romantic, Peter. You did it for your girl. Don't say it's not. This ain't romance. I did it to save you. Any girl's gonna take that, Peter. And then Hobgoblin's all like, I win, ha ha ha! And then Black Cat throws a batarang at him, and he nearly falls. And she's all like, you hit my lover. Now I'm gonna hit you. Because when a lady has good aim, when you hit her lover, she'll hit you. And then he's all like, oh, you're not strong enough because I got Goblin Serum now. And he starts beating the shit out of her. And Peter's like, no, Cat. And then he starts screaming, get your hands off my lady, slime ball. Mary Jane! Oh, wait, Felicia! And he's beating
Warren, where the blazes are you?
I just realized something. It's a fucking comic where there's a lot of lovers being said, and it's Felicia and the Hobgoblin.
Jason!
Oh my God! If they took out the mask, if they took out the mask and it was him using Jason Phil McIntyre right here, I would have given them applause.
I would take that comic and frame it on my wall.
Jason Phil McIntyre would just go up 10 degrees, the comic book version of him.
And that's saying something. Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow does not endorse hurting females, but Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow definitely does endorse Jason Philip McIntyre.
And then he's all like, the Hobgoblin's like, there's only one way for me to win. So he shoots like the goblin sparks out of his fingers, and it blinds Spider-Man. And he's all like, oh, I can't see, my eyes are hurting me. But my spider sense, almost like Daredevil, my spider sense will tell me where he's at, and I can still leap a wild away. And then fucking Bill Mantlo gets involved with the whole lover shit, because in the narration box, he goes, unaware of her lover's plans, fearing for her life, Black Cat rushes in to save her lover. And then Hobgoblin lover goes to attack the amazing Spider lover as Black Cat lover ducks, and even though she doesn't have her bad luck powers, that Parker luck, as she bumps into Peter, making it where she gets hurt and gets hit by the glider, and Hobgoblin's like, I win! Those romantic lover idiots! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! And he flies away, and then Peter's all like, damn, he got away because of you, Felicia. And she's like, but I tried to help. And then the comic just ends.
Yeah, it's an abrupt ending.
It just ends while Troy and the Megaforce Rangers walk away from the legendary battle.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Did Saban Brands made this comic then? No, okay.
I ripped this, but I ripped it because I love. This is classic Spider-Man cheats. This is classic, Peter Parker Spider-Man. This is classic Spectacular. This is classic the satellite titles. But it's so goddamn easy to rip this thing. It's like ripping a Godzilla movie. I'm not saying I hate it, and I'm saying I think it's bad. But it's just fun to watch these things for the cheat that they are.
I mean, here's the thing. I read this issue. I read it today. I really enjoyed this issue. I really do. This issue is not only pure gold, as James has described, but it's fun to read. I really do think it's fun to read. I mean, we've been sitting here for the better part of a half hour, tearing it to shreds.
It's not a bad tearing to shreds. This is like The Room. We're tearing to shreds so that people can read this because it's actually fun. It's not Sins Past. It's not One More Day. It's not any other shit that nobody likes right now. This is so bad it's good territory. Like, how many fucking times the love... I lost count, literally. How many times the word lover, and everybody says it. MJ says it. Flash says it. I think he calls Flash Shani's lover or something like that. Probably not. I'm probably thinking everybody says it in this comic. But literally, Goblin says it. Narrator says it. MJ says it. Peter says it. Spider-Man says it. Felicia says it.
Felicia's mother probably says it at some point. Anastasia Hardy. Where's John Hardesty? It's just, and the best part is like the Mary Jane stuff because you can make so many jokes about the current Ron, the will they, won't they, and all that stuff. The Harry and Flash moments are really good. I mean, they're announcing that they can save Normie. This is a big plot development for the future of Spider-Man books. It's just,
and the mommy.
Oh, man.
I almost forgot about that. The most dumbest line. Me and Harry are gonna be a mommy.
I noticed that when I was reading it, but it's just that was so incredible.
You got that line. You got the everybody nowadays talking about how overly sexualized women are in comics. Go back to this issue. She's in a fucking bathtub. She talks about how Peter turns her on and gets her horny by going out and fighting crime, and she wants to join him. And she's in one panel where he's grabbing her after she just got electrocuted with her butt in the air and her boobs on the ground. Don't give me bullshit. And she's in a bathtub. Don't give me bullshit that it just is a now thing that you get mad at. Okay, the issue's somewhere in here. If I can find it in one of these piles. Where the fuck is it? Real quickly, if I can find it. This issue. I think it's this issue, which again, ironic enough, is the Hobgoblin. What do you know? She's in a bathtub in this one, and people gave it shit for being over-the-top suggestive and sexual. What do you call that?
Yeah, go back and read this, people. It's just, oh man, I'll give my thoughts here just real quick. I like this issue a lot. I honestly do, and I like it about 10 times more now that we've just had so much fun with it. That's the most fun we've probably ever.
This is Mystery Science Theater. We just made a riff track to a comic book.
I mean, I honestly think that is the most fun we've ever had with any comic on any version of this show. This is, in total, with all the podcasts we've done, this is episode number 59. This is probably the most fun we've had with any issue ever.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, because especially on the old podcast when we did like the old Stanley one, we sometimes got comic gold from it.
We got gold from Korean Spider-Man statues having very interesting protruding areas, and
or the whole fact that the one episode where we're reviewing the fucking issue where so many people say Oh, like even if you go on Spider-Fan, their review of it, the guy goes, I hope it's one day like the Hobgoblin where they reveal who the real Green Goblin is, because this is not who Ditko on it, and it's clear because it comes out of nowhere, and Norman was just introduced last issue. There's no way it was Norman. It makes no sense. And then when you go back and hear, Ditko saying, nope, he was who I planned it to be. Me and Stan planned it all the way back to ASM 14. And then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, he does have points because Norman in the country club scenes are in the background in Hobgoblin. You know what I mean? And I'm pointing this stuff out like, okay, how can Norman knock out Peter with one blow unless he has super strength like that Goblin serum? How is he up on that ledge with the window if he's not the fucking Green Goblin? And then I'm trying to point those points out, and then some fucking asshole without a life kept on hacking onto our message board.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at James being very, very blunt and politically incorrect, but
how is that politically incorrect? The guy was an asshole.
Yeah, he was. He really was. I'm sure I failed. I'm sure somewhere in the blooper reels of this show, I've failed way worse than I've ever failed on the air. All right, so James, do you give this issue a thumbs up?
It's like by an 80s, Marvel scale. Yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up. Modern day scale, I'll give it 1 thumbs up. Because if this came out today, like if this was the new issue of Amazing Spider-Man came out today, it wouldn't have got a good grade. Let's be honest. And I got to give it a thumbs up as well. It's a fun issue to read. It really is. It is. I mean, like I said, I ripped this comic, but it was because I love it's gold. Like the overuse of the word lover, and everything that happens in this comic, everything is just comical. I'm sorry. When I one day am married, and if me and the woman I'm with happen to have a child together, I am going to introduce this to everybody. I'm going to have a big party. Invite all my friends. I'm flying you out. I'm flying out Dan. I'm flying out everybody I fucking know from AGR. We're all going to come together. I'm going to have us all have a big luncheon in the middle of a random restaurant in the middle of Central Park. And I'm going to turn to you guys all. And I'm going to say, me and her are going to be a mommy.
And I'm going to stand up. I'm going to give a standing ovation. And I'm going to say, yeah, you go, Bill Mantlo. Oh, man.
And you know something? You know what's funny? We're ripping this. We're making this joke. And there's probably somebody who's going to download this podcast or click on the YouTube link. And they were alive in the 80s. And he goes, well, that's a common thing. Everybody said that in the 80s when they're having a baby. But because it's not our time, we can make fun of it. And that's kind of like an overarching of how the story is.
Exactly. I got to give it a thumbs up as well. We got to move on at this point. Amazing Spider-Man 249. I actually have the print issues here, which is very cool. I picked them up in my local comic shop. Amazing Spider-Man 249. We're back into the amazing issues. We're back. Written by Roger Stern. Breakdowns by John Romita Jr. Finishes by Dan Green. Letters by Joe Rosen. Colors by Bob Sharon. Edited by Danny Fingeroth. Chiefed by Jim Shooter. So Peter Parker is attending a housewarming party for Harry and Liz Allen.
With the new mommy.
Yes, the new mommy, both of them. Because remember, they're a singular entity. So Peter walks out. He finds Liz, and she tells him that Harry has been the run of the neighborhood because ever since he got his new motorcycle, he's been taking the neighbor kids around on rides. How that happens when it's okay with their parents, I don't know.
Hey, you're skipping something. You're skipping something in these issues. The one where the chick in the bikini comes into his room, remember?
Yeah. He's trying to change out of his Spider-Man shirt, but she comes in. She says, boy, what a day to forget my contact lenses. She just happens to miss his Spider-Man shirt, so there's all that stuff.
Because again, over-sexualizing women in a Spider-Man book only started recently.
Yes, and let's just take a look at let's take a look at that top panel there, that top left panel there. Look at all that. There you go.
What panel? Because you're kind of freezing out. What panel?
Look at that panel. That panel
Yeah,
right there.
everybody at the pool bar. Because I'm pointing out all the girls, and it's all like, wow, they actually kind of look nice. You know, they actually kind of look kind of pretty. And then you hear about lesbian man because Harry's taking kids out for rides, and I'm like, okay, now this is starting getting creepy levels.
and then you see a guy in a Speedo. Didn't need to see that, to be honest with you.
Well, in the one panel, Peter's wearing a shirt that says animal, and you can tell this is like early Ramita because like it has that really block. Like you can start to see right here in this comic. Like when you see Peter, he has those really blocky almost arms, and even the jawline. It's kind of weird. Like this is the evolution. We're seeing it right before our eyes. And there's this one panel where he's walking in with the shirt, and it's all like, you know, animal and his short shorts. And I swear to God, this one chick, she has like a weird triangle boobs. She's right next to the girl in the red one piece.
James, do you have some sort of fetish for comic women?
It's right fucking there. I can't ignore it when it's in the middle of the goddamn panel.
I'm just messing with you, but Peter meets up with Mary Jane and says, "Hey, got time for an old friend?" She's like, "Oh, always for you, Tiger, because, you know, I'm Kirsten Dunst and all that." So Peter and MJ are talking, and all of a sudden he gets this major buzz of his spider sense. It's really hard. It's really painful. And he's like, "Man, what kind of massive danger could appear so suddenly and then disappear?" And so MJ pushes him into the pool because he's decided to be Andrew Gray and stare off into the distance. And then all of a sudden Sierra Hannah comes up and says, "What you thinking about, Troy?" Sorry, Power Rangers Super Mega Force reference.
Don't drop your web shooters. You see any tears?
Guys, next time I just won't drop. I won't let Jamie Foxx fry my web shooters. Have you tried magnetizing them? All right, so
PMC next year, because he's going to be at PMC. He already confirmed it. He's going to be at PMC. When he's there, I'm going to get him to record a little video message to you where he's going to say, "Don't drop your web shooters."
Dude, if you do that, I'll put it on the front page of the website. I swear on my life. That'll be the best thing ever.
Well, then I'll try to make. If I remember that a year from now, I'll do that. Okay.
Put it in your phone right now. I'm gonna put that in my phone later. We're gonna make a note.
John's
You're gonna do that.
Shut up. John's gonna be like, just gonna keep on bringing this up every 5 seconds to me. It's gonna give me like, God, dude, I get it.
Oh man, this is gonna be worse than the word lover. So Marla Madison, excuse me, they're not married yet. Marla Madison walks into Jonah Jameson's office and says, "Jonah, you're late for our outing. Sorry, but I'm being blackmailed. Someone has uncovered that I was responsible for the creation of the Scorpion." Meanwhile, Harry Osborn gets a mysterious package with evidence that can prove that his father was the original Green Goblin. And so he rides off on his motorcycle into the forest to, just kind of brood like Dane DeHaan does. So Andrew Garfield goes out there following him, jumping through trees and stuff, and he meets up with Harry and says,
"Guys, stop for a second. Go to the panel with Liz. Again, I got to bring it up. This will be a running joke here. Over-sexualizing. She close up of her like this with her chest and then crossing her legs. Again,
I'll try to. That right there.
Let me
right there in the screen.
You're still freezing. You're still freezing up. Yeah, that panel. That bitch.
Nice, James. We're not gonna get letters about that.
I'm not calling her that. I meant the panel.
So basically, Peter goes out, finds Harry, and says, "I can't believe that my dad was the original Green Goblin. It's like reading a confession in my father's own handwriting." And so we get a flashback exposition to the Green Goblin's past and his past with Spider-Man. And Peter says, or Harry's like, "Well, what do I do? How do I deal with this blackmailing scum?" And Peter just says, "You play him along. String him along until you find out what this creep wants, and I'll be with you every step of the way, buddy. But I need Spider-Man's blood." Oh, sorry, I can't give you that. Oh, sorry, wrong franchise. So they go to New York's prestigious country club. "Mr. Osborn, how nice to see you again, sir. And who is your guest?" This is Mr. Parker, a close friend of mine. We're considering him for membership. Very good, sir. The club room is now open for your pleasure. And so they go to the bar and have drinks, and Peter sees Wilson Fisk, the kingpin, at the table, and says, "Man, I can't hit that guy. It took me 3 seasons to even figure out who he was." Oh, sorry.
I can't hit that guy. It only took Daredevil 1 season to figure out who he was. It's a Netflix Daredevil reference.
Yeah, I know. So, which I still haven't seen, by the way. But
and just a comment on the whole John Romita Jr.'s arc kind of evolution. In one of the panels when Peter's going over the backstory of the Green Goblin again, there's a shot of the Green Goblin, of him kicking the Goblin, the Goblin just going, "Oof! Look, here's Romita in the 90s." It's almost identical if you go find that panel.
I'd have to look at it again. This panel, James is referring to that panel right there.
Yeah, it's uncanny just how much similar they are.
Man, I'm gonna have to edit the shit out of this for the people on iTunes, but
he's kicking him, and he's all like, "Ugh."
Yeah, so Harry goes into the meeting and says, unfortunately, your friend is not on the list. It's okay, Harry. I'll be nearby. Don't worry. So Harry goes into the meeting, and Jonah Jameson is there as well. And everyone's like, man, who could be the blackmailing person behind this? Members of the club who are also being blackmailed think it's Harry. Nope, it's the Hobgoblin. But this is no ordinary Hobgoblin. Nope. When Harry tries to confront him, it turns out to be robots. I hate robots. And so the real Hobgoblin crashes through the window, starts attacking the members of the club, but Spider-Man jumps down and decides to take him on. And unfortunately, Spider-Man doesn't put up too great of a fight because the Hobgoblin manages to hit him with a gas bomb, which deadens his spider sense. It sort of numbs the central nervous system. And so he can't feel a spider sense. It's gone, just as the Green Goblin did in ASM 39 when he originally learned Spider-Man's secret identity. And just as the Hobgoblin is about to finish off Spider-Man, the Kingpin comes in and saves the day. You know why he does that? Because there has been too much noise and confusion here today. And so the Hobgoblin leaves, and the Kingpin throws Spider-Man's spider tracer on his glider. Kingpin brings Spider-Man around and says, "This Hobgoblin is a very capable man. In time, he might grow bold enough to interfere in my operations. I prefer to let you apprehend him. It's simply good business." And so Spider-Man says, "Man, but without my spider sense, I can't track my spider tracer." Dun dun dun. All right, so I parodied this issue, for the point of humor and to make an enjoyable podcast. I really like this issue once again. Going into some of the specifics of it, I like the blackmailing plot that the Hobgoblin's using. I like seeing the Hobgoblin really get a more strategic plan. Once again, as we were discussing last week, Hobgoblin's in this, a lot of it for money. And so seeing the Hobgoblin act as basically just a two-timing schemer, I like that aspect of the character a lot. I like the plot. The big highlight of this issue, at least for me, was the Peter and Harry stuff. Because I feel like there's not a lot of the Peter and Harry friendship in the comics, at least as much as you feel like there would be. There's less of it than you really think you remember. And just reading this story and reading them as true best friends, it's really refreshing to read. It's great to see them together again. I love the way they play off of each other. I like Harry's angst, his brooding. All of it. It's very understandable. It's very sympathetic. You empathize with this. You sympathize with this cause. Excuse me. You kind of want to see it led to a satisfying conclusion. You're invested in the characters. You want to see them succeed. And so I think in that front, the issue succeeds a lot.
This is almost like double tragic. Just interrupt you. It's almost like double tragic. Like you said, you want to see Harry and Liz, and they're pregnant. They're buying their own house. They're having all their friends over for a pool party. It's all going to be one big happy, everything. And it's almost tragic now because you see where both Harry and Liz end up.
Exactly. It's just like things don't always turn out the way you plan. And so the other point I was really going to make here was I really they did a great job with recreating a lot of the classic art from what his father had done back in the 60s with Norman Osborn's origin story, with some of the panels recreating the fights from Amazing 39, Amazing 40, a lot of that stuff. I mean,
and
he also
thank God they didn't bring up Gwen.
They also recreated some stuff from Amazing 121, 122, classic Gil Kane artwork. So a lot of good stuff in there. I think Romita Jr. really does a solid job recreating that, not completely, just redrawing everything, but putting his own spin on it. You can definitely see his evolution as an artist, even beginning here in the mid 1980s. So a lot of good stuff from John Romita Jr. at this point. The club scene, very, very good, very solid action sequence. Hobgoblin continues to be a terrifying villain. I give this issue a thumbs up all around. I mean, we've been throwing out positive grades here for the past 2 weeks, but like we said last week on last week's show, and we'll say it again this week, go pick these issues up at your local comic shop or go on eBay or whatever. Pick the issues up. We highly recommend it. We really think that they're worth the read. They're really solid material, and we just really enjoy them. So, I mean, James, what are you thinking about Amazing 249?
It's a good issue. Like I said, I poke fun. I'm making all the jokes about the over sexualizing. I'm doing that just as a joke at how modern day comic fans get so goddamn fed up with. Oh my God, you see that cover of oh, look at the cover of the Catwoman. She's all like hanging over like a cat seductively over Batman. Oh my God, isn't that so disgusting and degrading the women? And it's like, go read this. Kind of like, the stuff you grew up with is the exact same. So don't preach me for reading, the new Batman. And it's like that when Catwoman was doing that shit in the 80s. But you know what I mean? So I make those jokes, but again, I do it because I love. And this issue's really good. And like you said, the artwork. Like I said, John Romita Jr. is one of my favorite artists, give and take. Some like his current stuff that he does, you could tell that his inkers are different between DC and Marvel because his artwork doesn't really hold up, in my opinion, than it does when he's with Marvel, especially during the JMS era. The artwork with the inking and everything is like beautiful. And you kind of see the evolution here where it's like when you go to that first story arc we reviewed, his art is like almost a clone of his dad, almost, it felt like. And here you're starting to see the blocky, body parts and all that stuff. And the Harry's starting to get the mullet that Romita's famous for drawing him up in the 90s. And just the thoughts about, like Mary Jane. She's really beautiful. All the women here are really beautiful in this issue. And the Mary Jane, and you see how she goes from here to where she is during the JMS run when he's doing the art, or later runs. And you see his evolution of his Kingpin that he has in his Daredevil issues with Frank Miller. And it's really great to see that. So I love the artwork. It's really beautiful. And then the story. Like, nobody knew that Stan and Steve had this as a plan with the country club. And here with the Hobgoblin, it's brought up. It's like one of those weird twists of fates. How they tie it in with the whole blackmailing everybody who was in that country club. Which I guess now is retcon that Wilson Fisk was in. And I love it. Because it's like that real life thing where each businessman is, I'm not saying like real life in general. When you see a movie and stuff, it's always like the businessman is always corrupt. And Hobgoblin is basically making them pay for their sins. He's all like, your dad was the Green Goblin, and you were the second Green Goblin. You're the fucking Kingpin of Crime Fist. You created Scorpion. This guy embezzled money. This guy's in with the mob. He's pointing out him, unless you guys pay me all your money, I'm going to go to the media and expose every single one of you. So it's either rot the rest of your life in jail, or I get your money. And I love that. That's classic Hobgoblin. That's not just, I'm going to throw a pumpkin bomb at Spider-Man by luring him into a trap. It had nothing to do with Spider-Man. It just looked at Peter's in the fucking room. If Peter didn't go along with Harry, they would all be dead probably, or giving to the goblins demands. Except for Kingpin, maybe. Kingpin would have tried to fight back, but he probably would end up dead.
All right, so I give this issue a thumbs up. James, I take it you're giving it a thumbs up as well? All right, awesome. Now, we're going to move on to Amazing Spider-Man number 250. This has a cover that James really likes. I'm going to hold it up to the screen here. James really, really enjoys this little little bit here in the corner with Hobgoblin. It's great. Steal it, because it's just funny to him. I mean, I'll let James explain.
It's just funny because I'm actually just clicked on Marvel Unlimited just so I can pull up the cover side, but I can look at it. Okay, zooming into it. It's just okay. For one, it's Marvel telling you steal our comic book. Don't pay for it. Just steal it. And it's just his face. I mean, he has the pupilless eyes and he has the dumbest smile ever.
Little did Marvel know that, like, how many hundreds of thousands of fans would later do that with online piracy.
It's not even that. Like, John Byrne going, the reason why stealing a comic book is called Byrne stealing it is because John Byrne was the one who says, I'm tired of people just going into a comic shop, hanging out there all day, reading all the comic books, and not buying them. And here's a Spider-Man comic book that says, go do it. It's okay. The Hobgoblin says it's okay.
Before John Byrne even probably ever made that comment. So,
no, I think it's an 80s comment because I think J.R. Pettigrew makes a comment about it. Like, and J.R., reading all the comics, going all the way back to the 60s, and he brought it up how, I used to Byrne steal them and stuff like that. So who knows? It could be, a case of that. But anyways,
who knows?
I just love it how it's the most dumbest smile, and it's Marvel saying, don't pay for this. Just take it. It'll be our little.
All right, but as we move into the issue here, creative team writer Roger Stern, artist John Romita Jr. and Klaus Janson, Joe Rosen, letterer C. Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this name. C. Shiel. Ooh, Shill? I apologize.
Shill.
Shill, I don't know. On colors, Danny Fingeroth, editor. Possibly the best issue of Spider-Man ever. What better way to celebrate our 250th issue? By the way, it's a special normal size 250th issue. So Spider-Man decides to spend the first page and a half expositing what happened in the previous issue, while the members of the club attack him because you don't realize that the Hobgoblin's going to come back with demands 10 times worse now. But he notices, wait, Jameson and Harry, they're the only two who aren't attacking me. Jameson looks like he's afraid to look at me, like he's ashamed. And Harry's looking around for yikes, he's looking for me, or rather for Peter Parker. And so Peter goes back to change to Peter Parker. He meets up with Harry again, and they go out to lunch and they talk about the meeting and stuff. And Harry says, you could just bet whatever demands he'll make on us next time will be higher. But what bothers me most was how familiar Hobgoblin seemed with the workings of Dad's club, almost familiar enough to be a member. And so Peter's like, man, I need to find the Hobgoblin now more than ever. Meanwhile, Hobgoblin finds Spider-Man's spider tracer on his glider, and he says, Osborn talked in his journals about the last entry in Osborn's journals talked about a plan to uncover Spider-Man's secret identity. I wonder if he ever succeeded in that. That secret will be worth more than all of Osborn's combined. And so Spider-Man goes on this little detective search to find the identity of the Hobgoblin. He visits George Vandergill, one of the Kingsleys, whether it's Roderick or Daniel Kingsley, who knows? It could be either. It's supposed to be Roddy, but who knows? He goes on to visits many others, such as one guy sleeping. He peeps on one guy in a shower. He takes a step further than what he did with Felicia. And he's swinging around town, and all of a sudden he gets another major blare from his spider sense. And he's like, oh man, what could possibly be posing such danger? Well, I can't worry about it now. Right now, I have to go see JJJ at the Daily Bugle. And at his desk at the typewriter, typing up an editorial confession. I created the Scorpion. And he says, yes, I did it. And it's not a thing I'm very proud to admit. But by Godfrey, I will not submit to blackmail. J. Jonah Jameson admits his mistakes. And now that you've been caught by someone who has proof, do you think you can put on a hair shirt and throw yourself at the public's mercy? The public may judge as they wish. Hey, you can't make a public confession to something like this and still play editor-in-chief. Your career as a newspaperman will be over. You're crazy if you think otherwise, Jameson. Don't worry. I'll take the Hobgoblin down. I'll save your job and your life. And Jameson just keeps on typing. And so Peter pulls out. Peter says, I don't have my spider sense anymore to track the Hobgoblin and my spider tracer, but I do still have the old tracer remote from when I was a teenager in high school. So he fixes that up and finds the Hobgoblin at his base. They have a bit of a fight, during which the Hobgoblin manages to basically set fire to the warehouse that he's based in. And so the issue ends with JJJ saying, handing his editorial over to a copy boy, saying, take this down to composing, have them set it for page 1. Next issue, endings, a conclusion. I'll tackle this issue. It's very much a part 2. We're moving the story along, hitting all the main beats that we need to get to before we hit the climactic final battle. It's a very solid part 2, a very solid issue overall. Is it a solid 250th issue? I'm not really concerned about that one way or the other. I think it's a solid story. Once again, the artwork is solid. I like the Spider-Man detective angle again. The Hobgoblin continues to be an intriguing villain. I like that. I like the little clues that they're setting up with Roddy. They're trying to make it seem like he's not the Hobgoblin, but they're also trying to make it seem like he may be the Hobgoblin. Kind of a bait and switch. And plus, is it Roderick or is it Daniel that he goes and visits here? Who knows?
I think years later, Stern says this is Daniel. Because that's why he's freaking out the way he is, because Roddy wouldn't freak out. Roddy would just be playing up, be like cool guy in the room with that woman, being like playing it up, like, yeah, honey, yeah, whatever. But his thought boy might be saying something like, oh, God, I'm worrying. But this guy is, pacing the room, that he said that means it's Daniel. Or it's Roddy. I can't remember exactly, but I think I remember him saying it's Daniel in that panel.
So we got all that stuff.
And fun fact,
just got a good
And fun fact, Roger Stern says that's the first major clue that he's the Hobgoblin. You know why? He mentions for all the time for my brother to be out of town. Before that, anytime Kingsley appeared, he never once mentioned he had a brother. Now he's all out of nowhere worrying about my brother for him to be out of town, meaning he's been there for a while, and he's out of town now when I need him.
Exactly. And I really like the plot of JJJ coming clean about the creation of the Scorpion. J. Jonah Jameson has always been a little bit morally ambiguous sometimes, but I mean, he is a good man. He has good, as Spider-Man says, I think it's in the next issue. He has good intentions, just not always when it comes to Spider-Man. So I like this I like this plot. I like this character moment. I like all the beats this issue's hitting, and so I give it a thumbs up again. I think it's a solid part 2 to a story, and it's moving the story along in a satisfying way. It's character driven, and there's really not much I can say against it. So, James, what are you thinking of Amazing Spider-Man number 250? You obviously didn't steal it since you read it on Marvel Unlimited, so you didn't listen to the Hobgoblin. And I didn't steal it either because I have the print copy. So
that doesn't prove you didn't steal it, John.
Okay, you want to see the price tag on the bag and board? There it is, $5.
You could have still took it, John. Just because you show, I have it, that doesn't mean you didn't steal it. Because, newsflash, people who steal things still have it.
Oh my gosh, is that how stealing works? Oh man.
But anyways, never giving John a hard time. Yeah, this is a great issue. The Jonah repenting for his sins before he gets taken down by him is brilliant. But, I'm going to repent for the Scorpion. Don't bring up the whole fact that Smite's family being insane is all my fault, too, with Spider Slayers. Don't mention that.
Don't mention the fact that I hired Luke Cage to go after Spider-Man right after Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy both, mysteriously croaked.
That one I can see, and the Spider Slayer one I can also kind of see because he wasn't being super villain. Scorpion he was, though. Because Luke Cage, he's hiring a superhero to take out who he perceives as a super villain. So in his eyes, he was doing the right thing. But yeah, I agree with you. Because Jonah has never been played off as, a bad guy. He has done bad things, and he has said some really stupid things. But there's panels where Peter, where in the early days, maybe the early Ditko issues, he was a teenager, and it was like, I'm going to get back at this asshole for giving me a hard time. He doesn't know that I'm taking money from him, that Spider-Man's on his payroll, ha ha ha. But as time goes on, Peter likes to joke that it's not like that, but he is close to almost like a father figure to Peter. He doesn't hate Peter, and Peter doesn't hate Jonah. Jonah, I would always say, is a lovable loser. He's the guy you love to hate, kind of.
Exactly.
It's like Peter knows deep down that Jonah's not a bad guy. He'll sue me and fire the whole Bugle staff for over conspiracy theories of me being Spider-Man, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah, we'll just leave those minor details out.
Yeah, I'm joking.
But
but I love that. The Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin stuff with Roddy is perfect. Because it's like when I brought up earlier about the Green Goblin, about once you know who the mystery is, going back and rereading and seeing all the clues. That scene, probably as somebody who was reading that back in the 80s, was just Fast and Desire, Roddy Kingsley's going crazy and getting upset about probably some needling. There's no way this little skinny, ascot wearing, fashion designer with a model upper nose in the air. There's no possible way he's the Hobgoblin. It's cool because now when you reread that panel, it goes from being just a guy being a worried guy for supposedly no reason to being why. If it is him, he's worried because holy shit, Spider-Man ruined my plan. What if it all backfires now? And if it's just Daniel, it's holy shit, I ruined my brother's plan. What the fuck he's gonna do when he realizes I screwed up his plan? It's the Billy and Stu Scream stuff, and now that you can go back and see it with him and his brother, it is really good, I think. And it's sad because he mentions his brother, and Stern runs over, and you never see Kingsley's brother ever again. So it's mentioned this one time, and when he brings up that was going to be his big clue of who the Hobgoblin is. It's so weird because that's why it's not just him going back years later and saying, "Fuck it, I don't like the idea of it being him, and I'm going to make it somebody else." He had a plan from day one, and you could tell when he brought in Roddy's brother, and here this one-off thought balloon he brings up for all the time for my brother to be out of town. Why did he do it now when I need him?
all right. So any other major thoughts on this issue, James? Before we move on to Amazing 251.
Just how did Kingsley get a pretty nice-looking girl? Just joking.
So you give it a thumbs up, I take it?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up as well. So we're gonna move on to this final issue here. I apologize. I don't really mean to rush this podcast, but it's almost midnight where I am. I'm running on about 6 hours of sleep. So, and to be honest, I got a headache. So I probably should be getting to bed pretty soon here because plus I got a full day pack tomorrow. So we got Roger Stern on plot, Tom DeFalco on script. Yes, Roger Stern didn't actually write the script for this one. This is kind of Tom DeFalco is being kind of ushered into ASM at this point, if you will. So Tom DeFalco on script, Ron Friends on pencil breakdowns, Klaus Janson on finished art. Once again, Jarmy Jr. did not pencil this issue. Ron Friends is kind of getting his trial run here because this is the point where we're kind of transitioning into Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends era and out of the Roger Stern, Jarmy Jr. era. So Roger Stern plot, Tom DeFalco script, Ron Friends pencil breakdowns, Klaus Janson finished art, Joe Rosen letters, Christy Shell. I apologize. I feel so bad. Colors, Danny Fingeroth, editor. So the firefighters are trying to contain the fire blaze. Yeah, I'll just deal with that. Hobgoblin wakes up first and says, "No, the journals are destroyed. I never made copies." But Spider-Man is still alive. Well, he won't be for long. So he hits. So what does he do? What does he do, James?
I don't even want to say. Can I just ignore it? The whole fact that he tries to run him over with a tank?
No, what he does is he hits him in the head. So,
I thought you were making a tank joke because since he's pretty much in the rest of the comic like, yeah, well he's road raging trying to run over Spider-Man.
No, that's
he's like a kid in a candy store, like on a roller coaster. Yeah,
the most psychopathic kid in a candy store I've ever seen. So yes, James, but that's your joke, James. Hitting people, goblins hitting Spider-Man over the head
with a rock.
So
he just hit him over the head here
with something resembling a rock-shaped stick or a stick-shaped rock, whatever.
I thought it was a crowbar.
Whatever. Piss off. It's late. I'm sorry. So Hobgoblin gets in the battle van, tries to run Spider-Man over. Spider-Man, clings to the battle van, tries to punch through the windshield. And Hobgoblin's like, you need a concussive force equal to an exploding mortar shell before you could even. And Spider-Man punches it and he scratches it, and he's like, scratch it, and it says, for the first time since he has donned the mantle of the Hobgoblin, the man behind the mask knows fear. Look, whatever Osborn's paying you, I'll double it, triple it.
You think I'm okay? We already did this joke the other day.
Yeah, we already did this. I'm sorry.
I'm here to help my creator, Norman Osborn, which is creative. I got to give them credit to the writers. Didn't say help my friend. Didn't say help my boss. He says help my creator, signaling it's not, you know, some guy who's in a suit. He says my creator.
So he drives right through a building, and he's like, ha ha ha, I've destroyed Spider-Man. But Spider-Man actually leaped behind a turret just in time, so he didn't get lacerated by the windows and stuff. Spider-Man breaks into the van. They have their fight. The Spider-Sense returns. The Hobgoblin's battle van crashes into the Hudson River, and the water short circuits the control panel, so the self-destruct sequence initiates. Well, Hobgoblin isn't going to let Spider-Man get out, and so the van explodes, but they get separated in the explosion. Spider-Man survives and manages to reach a police ship that's up at air level. Spider-Man goes up there, grabs a lantern, and goes back down to search for the Kingpin. Oh my gosh, the Hobgoblin. Searches the Hobgoblin and only finds a shredded mask. Meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson has confessed in the morning edition of the Daily Bugle to his role in creating the Scorpion, and he has decided to step down as editor-in-chief. I love this newspaper. I won't see its journalistic integrity questioned because of my mistake, so I'm stepping down as editor-in-chief. But don't think the Bugle is going to start treating you with kid gloves. I'm still the publisher around here. I had to make my public apologies. I won't stop hounding you until you make yours. And at that point, we meet the new editor-in-chief, Joe Robertson. He's been promoted from city editor to editor-in-chief.
Sean, is that you or me?
You. You're frozen, James, just so you know. And so Joe Robertson is promoted from city editor to editor-in-chief. And at this point, we see Peter and Harry meeting up for dinner. And Peter says, you know, all the evidence that he had against you, you know, it was all destroyed in the fight. He's lost his hold over. Has he, Pete? He was the one who told me that my father was the original Green Goblin. What can I do now? You can live a good life and try to make the world a better place for your passing. Yeah, I guess you're right. Thanks for being my friend, Mr. Parker. It's my pleasure, Mr. Osborn. And so at this point, Peter gets another, you know, major blaring Spider-Sense warning. And so he goes off into the forest to investigate, and he finds a futuristic version of Stonehenge because he has to go into the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. The 12-issue limited series written by Jim Shooter with mostly art by Mike Zeck, I think. It's a 12-issue limited series released throughout 1984 into 1985. It was Marvel's big event for that year. It's not the same Secret Wars as we know now, as is currently happening as we're doing this broadcast live in the present. It was a 12-issue limited series. I have read it. I do own it. I used to. For various reasons, I don't anymore. And so at this point,
I'm sorry, my computer had stuff again.
Yeah, but you're still frozen in another screen, so I'm not sure if you actually ever left this call or not. There we go. We're good. So basically, my basic thoughts on the issue. I like it. Satisfying conclusion. I love all the stuff with Jameson. I love the fight with the Hobgoblin. You really see the Hobgoblin really becoming more and more insane as this issue goes on. So very satisfying on that front. I got to give it a thumbs up. I mean, there's really nothing negative I can say about this. So, I mean, James, let's just delve into your final thoughts here, and then we'll give our final thoughts on the Roger Stern Hobgoblin stuff as a whole.
It's a great issue. Not as good as the other ones because it's the climax. So there's like where the other first two parts, well, three if you count the lovers issue, the mommy lovers issue, but at least storyline wise, it's the second part. I mean the third part. So it's just the conclusion. So reading the other ones, it's like, you know, it took me a little while, you know, because I'm reading each panel. I'm getting to read. This one, it's all like, oh yeah, the building blows up, journals are lost, he gets mad, he tries to run over Spider-Man, they both end up in the Hudson, mask is destroyed, Jonah quits the Bugle, and it's like done in 5 minutes.
It is a quick read. I will give it that. It is a quick read.
It's like a modern day like Bendis issue almost, comic issue. And it's just, but besides that, it's really good. The Friends art is good. And it's one thing I always find funny that McFarlane always brings up, oh, everybody was trying to mimic, Romita Sr. So I changed the artwork by giving him the spaghetti webbing, web and the bigger eyes, and Mary Jane had 80s hairstyles and clothing styles. But Franz didn't really follow that pattern too. He was more kind of like with Ditko. If you look at his artwork, it was kind of like a modern day 80s twist of what the Ditko art looked like.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's definitely more cartoonish in its overall style.
And like, particularly when you get to this issue, it looks completely Ditko-ish when you actually read it. Like, there's panels where it's almost like I would swear Ditko drew it.
Yeah.
And it's where other people I can give them credit, because Ross Andrew and Gail Kane is obviously, because you read those early Gail Kane run issues, his art is his own style, which he has had on other title. And then around the time Gwen falls out the bridge and those issues afterwards in his run, it's almost a Romita clone.
Excuse me. Yeah, I can agree with that. But James, you give 251 a thumbs up?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up again.
All right, I give it a thumbs up as well. I just want to move into our quick general overall final thoughts on Roger Stern's Hobgoblin stuff in the 80s. I'll just go first because I'll probably have less to say overall, because I've gotten most of it out through the individual issue reviews. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man runs of all time. It really is. I mean, we've devoted 2 episodes to it, and I almost don't think that's enough. I mean, this is...
Jan's mad that he couldn't be on these 2 episodes, but he missed it because of Comic-Con and stuff like that. And he's upset because he likes these issues.
Yeah, Jan is off doing whatever Jan does. I don't even know what he's doing right now.
Well, you told him he was going to be on this episode because he wasn't on the first part.
I didn't actually say that. James is actually making that up. It's getting to the point in the night where I literally don't know what's real and what's not. I didn't actually say that. I'm not that much of a monster. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I love Roger Stern's run. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's so good. I mean, you don't get much better Spider-Man than this. You really don't. I mean, as much as he is my second favorite writer, second only to Stan Lee. Stan Lee I love just because it's classic. Roger Stern is almost the same way. I mean, I like a lot of what happens in earlier years. I like a lot of what happens in later years. Roger Stern is great. It's just his Hobgoblin stuff. It's a great mystery. It's a satisfying read. It hooks you into the story. I mean, it's well drawn by his collaborators. I mean, I don't think there's much more we can ask for from a comic book. I mean,
he's not my number 1, but he's my number 3.
He's
JMS, Michelini, and then him.
He's fantastic. I mean, I want to get, if he's listening to this podcast or he sees this, Roger Stern, thank you so much for all of your work. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, James is doing it. Yeah, round of applause. Round of applause. Absolutely. It's just,
and it's not just the Hobgoblin. He did another TV show adaptation, The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man. He made Madam Web an actual competent character after Danny O'Neill's run, which was just like, it's the same guy who reinvented Batman, and his Spider-Man run was shit. And Roger Stern saved that character. He did that. He did a really good Vulture issue, I think Roger Stern did. Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut. Even modern day, like there's an issue of Brand New Day that was like a sequel to Nothing Stops the Juggernaut that I thought was one of the best of Brand New Day.
Roger Stern when Roger Stern comes on to Spider-Man, it's a good sign. It really is. It's just
it's just a shame that his run. I don't. Did we ever get the full story about why his run was cut short? Like, why did it just end here? And they went to DeFalco.
I've never gotten the full story, but
because he has set ideas that he has had.
It's an interesting thing. It's a run that James and I love. It's really, really good, and just I gotta give the guy his due reverence. It's just
like I said, it's just a shame that his run ended a lot sooner than it had a chance. Because like he even says in interviews that he had ideas for later stories and later plot lines that he says, "Oh, I never got a chance to do." And I was always like, "Well, why did you leave, or why did they get you off the book, or whatever?" Because obviously the Hobgoblin mystery would have been better off because it's clear what that brother line is. This is when he was going to set it up. That this is when we're going to move towards the reveal, and it got cut short. And even a weird twist, he wrote when he wrote the Brand New Day issues, he put Carly in each one of them. And the reason why he did that is because he said basically I was going to invent her in the 80s if I had the chance. I wanted, because I didn't like, he says I didn't like MJ, Gwen staying dead. I didn't like any of the other love interests that he had that popped up that never really stayed. I wanted to invent this smart woman who, you know, was like a female Peter Parker, and basically Carly is what I wanted to do. He basically outright said Carly was the character I wanted to write.
And Carly is James's favorite character, right?
Stern would wrote her in the 80s, yes. Brand New Day, modern day of Carly, fuck no.
Okay.
I guarantee you, Stern wanted to make her a Mary Sue. I can guarantee you that right now.
I got to give Roger Stern his due reverence. I mean, just absolute. If I were to give letter grades to all these issues, they would all get A's. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible how consistently good the Hobgoblin stuff is when Roger Stern works on it. It's just, you don't find quality like that everywhere. Viewers and listeners, if you have not read this stuff, turn this off and go read a book. Just do it.
Go on Marvel Unlimited. Go buy Essentials. Go buy trades and omnibuses. Go to your local comic shop. Do whatever. Do what the fuck the Hobgoblin said. Steal it. Do whatever you can to read these comics. And I'm not just talking about the Hobgoblin stuff. I mean his whole run in general. Because trust me, don't read all the Hobgoblin issues because it's all downhill from here. DeFalco did good stuff with it. DeFalco did good Hobgoblin stuff. That's the Hobgoblin stuff that I'm more familiar with, more than Roger Stern stuff. But everything post DeFalco is downhill.
Oh man, except for the animated series. The animated series, quality. Yeah, I mean, that's really all we can say about Roger Stern and his Hobgoblin run. It's great. It really is great. It's not over. There's a lot more stuff with Tom DeFalco, with Peter David. Roger Stern actually does come back for Hobgoblin Lives, the miniseries that came out. I think it was 98. I think it was 1998 when that came out.
It's 96. I think it's 96. I want to say 96 or 97. Because it's not 98. 98 is when the reboot happened, and one of the final issues was finally Norman and the Hobgoblin meeting up. Only it wasn't finally Norman and the Hobgoblin meeting up because it was the goddamn clone shit with the 5th Green Goblin. They build it up as finally it's not Harry versus, you know, Jason Philip McIndale. It's Kingsley versus Norman, except it's the fucking clone 5th Green Goblin.
Bullshit. That was not Jason Philip McIndale. That was Jason Wimp McIndale. Jason Philip McIndale, you don't mess with that guy.
I'm just so used to fucking Jason Philip McIndale.
Oh, great. Look at what we started. That's going to be a running gag on this podcast now.
Jason Philip McIndale for president. I'm going to say it right now. Vote for him.
Hey,
vote for him, and also vote for the Clone Saga to be reviewed on this podcast. All complete, longest episode in history. In the comment section, please.
Dude, I don't own the Clone Saga trades anymore. Okay, I used to, for various reasons. I don't own, for various reasons. When all the comics I owned when I started this show, I don't own anymore. Man, it's midnight. Things are coming out. All right. This show before I
I'll stop my little running
exposit my
joke.
whole life.
Jan, making John depressed with this running joke. I'm sorry. It was just meant to be a joke. I'm not serious.
Oh my gosh, let's get off this podcast before I exposit all my deepest, darkest issues. All right, James, what shout outs do you have this week?
First shout out goes to the first shout out goes to my favorite mommy, my father. And to be serious, shout out goes to John, for the show this week. Shout out goes to anybody who wrote Spider-Man in the 80s, Michelin, DeFalco, Stern, Mantlo, David. These are great issues, and like we ripped them, but it's like Mystery Science Theater doing a Godzilla movie. They're not ripping it because they hate it and think it's garbage. They're ripping it because it's so bad it's good. And that's how it felt like this episode. Shout out to Kingsley, because it's all downhill for you, dude. There's no profit to be made in your own annihilation, but it is in your own character assassination.
Yep, pretty much.
Shout out, what the fuck else should I shout out to you? I was going to make another shout out, but I can't remember what it is now, so you just go. Try to keep dead air.
Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Roger Stern, John Romita Jr., Ron Friends, Tom DeFalco, all of them. Thank you for the Hobgoblin. Mark Hamill, thank you for Jason Philip Mackendale. The Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show does not endorse Lefty Donovan or Ned Leeds. Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show definitely does endorse Jason Philip Mackendale.
And and here's another special one from my heart to everybody in our audience. I love you, and you're all my lover, because everybody knows it's awesome to be a lover. Because when you're a lover, you get to love things, and that's why it's so awesome to be a lover. And now somebody's gonna take me seriously, so I'm gonna stop this joke now.
Yeah, it's gonna get creepy. Shout out to Ghost Agent K. I want to give you another shout out. I think that's the name. It's midnight. I've forgotten already. Thank you for the iTunes review.
John, is this the bad time to tell you that I sent that review? I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Probably. I know he's just joking.
It's not me. My Yahoo thing is Angel Girl Radio for various reasons. What uploading my podcast.
Shout out to everyone who's watching this live right now. Shout out to everyone who is watching this back later. This video right now that you're seeing, if you're watching this back later, this is going to get edited, because I'm pretty sure I said something stupid about an hour and a half ago.
And I really want to know.
I don't know what it was.
As soon as the episode's over, I'm curious.
He's going to go back and he's going to find it, I'm sure. And I'm never going to live it down. It's going to be the running gag of this. I think I may have just lost.
If it's not Thomas level bad, I'm going to tell you to stop complaining. I'm just telling you that right now.
I'll admit there was. It may end up in a blooper reel at some point. I did kind of lose my temper when I thought I lost my internet connection. I'm just going to say that right now. I lost it for like a second. Yeah, other than that, shout out to – I want to give one more shout out this week. I want to give a shout out to a cartoon that I've been watching. It's actually a pretty good cartoon. Anyone who grew up with, like I did in the 2000s, you may know this cartoon, Danny Phantom.
Yeah.
If you grew up, that show was the shit. That show was awesome. I found that on Hulu Plus this week. That show, it's not as good when I watch it when I'm 18, but I still get that classic 6-year-old feel when I watch it back. So, yeah, it's just go watch that. That's fun.
And another shout out to Black Cat, because she went from being saying lover every other word of Spider-Man to this.
Yeah.
How mighty have people fallen?
Oh, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I don't really have any other shout outs this week. So we thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for dealing with me, as I gotta be getting sick. I think I may actually have pink eye. Like, I'm legit. I'm not kidding. I've had that suspicion for a couple days now. I may have to get it checked out. But thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you dealing with the technical difficulties we've had on this episode, and we will see you. We will hopefully see you guys all next week. We don't know what we'll be talking about next week. James will probably be picking the classic arc for next week. So, James, you got anything in mind right now? I hate to put you on the spot, but
there's a few that popped in my head. Let me do process of elimination on them, okay?
all right. So, tune in next week to see what special arc James decides to pull out for next week. So, see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in, and this is Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show signing off.
And this goes to special shout out to Sean Hunter from Boy Meets World. Remember, Sean's his lover.